You betcha. So many of you, I noticed coming in, already know Jim Beckstrom and many of the things that he has done and will be telling us about shortly. But probably a lot of you don't know much about his background. He held entry level through senior positions in the oil and gas industry at Amoco Production Company and British Petroleum starting more than 40 years ago. He led project development and management, commercial development, strategic planning, environmental policy and protection, and a variety of engineering tasks in both upstream and downstream aspects of the oil and gas business. He lived and worked from the Arctic regions of Alaska and Siberia to the jungles of Indonesia and Trinidad, multiple seas, onshore and offshore work, to the Sahara Desert of Egypt. The major focus for much of his career was the exploration, development, and ultimate monetization of natural gas, including US, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Egyptian, and Indonesian gas. During his recent stint as an oil and gas consultant, he also taught graduate and undergraduate courses in the College of Engineering, Architecture, and Technology at OSU. Jim retired, as he says, from OSU in 2021, as he says, for the third and last time. Hopefully it won't be the last time. But he continues to provide support and technology development related to 3D concrete printing. He's a 1980 mechanical engineering graduate. Just pause and I'll recognize that. And he's also earned a master's degree from the University of Denver in 1992 and attended an executive project leadership program at MIT in 2006. He's chair of the Stillwater Community Center Foundation and a member of the Block 34 Trust, and he volunteers and participates in a variety of other organizations around Stillwater. He's been married for 42 years to Nancy Houston Beckstrom, who is a Stillwater native. Jim actually grew up in Tulsa. And his wife is the daughter of Winfrey Houston, now deceased, former member of this club, and of course, a mover and shaker and attorney in Stillwater. Not that all attorneys are movers and shakers. He's the theater, as you all know, in the Stillwater Community Center is named after Winfrey Houston. Jim and Nancy have 2 sons and daughters-in-law, 2 grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming Jim Beckstrom.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to move really quickly through this, so buckle down because we've got a lot of information to cover. I need to touch a screen, don't I, Kevin? Anywhere? Did that do it? Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. No, I'm not a Stillwater native, but I'm starting to feel more and more that way every day. I'm going to talk about Stillwater Community Center first. And one of the things that I think you're going to pick up through this conversation is that the Community Center and Block 34 are connected to HIP. And we're going to talk about that relationship a little bit more as we go on here. So what some people don't realize, in fact, I had a longtime Stillwater resident say, and I gave her a tour of the community center, and she's a mover or shaker in Stillwater, and she had never actually been through the Stillwater Community Center in the 20 or more years that she'd lived here. And so it is an under-recognized yet heavily used facility. And there are 100,000 admissions a year, and it serves a wide range of community groups. And I'm just giving you some examples here. I'm not going to read the slide to you, but it plays a critical part to our community. Okay. One of the things we just did, and we had a music festival. I don't know if any of you got down to the art festival, but the music program was provided by the Stillwater Community Center Foundation. That was our contribution to that program. And if any of you were there Friday night and saw Charlie Red, he brought the house down. I mean, the entire Block 34 was covered with people, and nobody could stand still. This guy puts it on. That's the group in the top left there, Charlie Red and the Full Flavor Kings. We had a very diverse program. We had a group coming over from Langston called The Prophet and the Eye of Ra. They did some hip hop that was unbelievable. They were fantastic. Stillwater Orchestra played. Clifftop was a headliner for Saturday night. And that's one of the things that I think is going to help downtown Stillwater fire up is music. And we're about to talk about how that's going to happen in a big way, thanks to Block 34. So the Stillwater Community Center Foundation, I'm the chair. We complement the contributions made by the city. So we help provide capital, we help provide some operating money. We get heavily involved in programming, and we're going to talk about programming a little bit more here in a minute. But our mantra as the foundation is accessible, affordable, and sustainable. Okay. We want everybody to be able to get some entertainment and improve the quality of life for free. And that's what Community Center Foundation is all about, is to provide quality of life improvement for folks that may not necessarily be able to afford that. The Community Center Foundation has done quite a few projects already since 2016. We helped rebuild the dining and event hall. It used to be the cafeteria at the school. Okay, that project was done in 2016. We did a total repaint, I think, of the facility for the first time in like 40 years. Okay, we funded that. That was 2 years ago. And we've been involved in some other projects. If you've driven by in the springtime, you'll see corn growing in front of the community center. Well, if you stop and read the sign, all those crops are Oklahoma crops. So we're kind of helping educate people on what the ag economy is all about here in Stillwater. We also raise vegetables for the folks in the Project Park. So they come over and harvest the turnips and other thing, okra and other things we're growing in the garden in the summertime. On your tables, you'll see a sheet that has a bunch of movies on it. This is one of the programs we provide, and it is, you should come. It's free. That's a sustainable, affordable thing. Great movies. We have Biggie Sturgeon talk about the movies every month. It's the second Friday of every month, and that list of movies is on this sheet here. I've made some big ones and some little ones. Everybody's invited. I think there's quite a few folks in here that have actually come and attended that, and I think it's a great time. And the movie coming up is fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorites, and that's happening on May 6th. It happened one night. Clark Gable and I can't remember the actress's name. I flipped the slide. The other thing we have going, we're actually helping develop a cadre of singer-songwriters out of Stillwater. We have on the first Thursday of every month, we have Troubadour Thursday. It's free. Anybody can come. Louise has got a catered bar, and it's a singer-songwriter series, so it's all original music. And Ben Douglas is one of the attendees. Hey, Ben, good to see you. He's helped make that happen. It's donor funded, and just got some of the artists here. In fact, one of the artists on the left there, she's kind of started going pro. Now she's being picked up. She started playing at Troubadour Thursdays about 1.5 years ago when we first started the program, Emma Rose. Now she's playing at Zanotti's. I think we're going to see that young lady go some great places because she's a very prolific singer-songwriter and got a great voice and a great style. So one of the things that we're dealing with, the Stillwater Community Center is an ancient, parts of it are ancient. Some parts of it date back to the 20s. It's a typical old school building to where we started with a small brick building and then somebody said, well, we need to be bigger. So you just add on something else. And then you add on something else. And you add on something else. Well, we finally stopped adding in 1996 when the school was shut down. Okay. But it does have one of the best theaters in town. Stillwater Community Center, the Winter Houston Theater, we've had numerous international acts, the national and international acts in there, and they love that place. It's got a great vibe to it, and it's actually, the techs at the community center are great. But we have problem people getting into the building, okay? There is a huge issue of getting mobility challenged folks into that building, and we could be serving a lot more folks to this building with some help of getting some ramps. Right now, the main parking lot, if somebody drives into the main parking lot in a wheelchair, they have to go all the way around the block to get into that building. There is no ramp access off the main parking. And so we've got a project going on. This is just the map explains that. It's a nightmare, quite honestly, for folks with handicap, with mobility issues to get in and out of that building. And if they're in an event, if there's an event that has multiple rooms involved with like the dining and event hall, if they need to get from the dining and event hall into the main complex, they have to go around the block. Even though the doors are only about 50 feet apart, there's no ramp connection. They have to go all the way around back to get into the building. So we're trying to make that happen. So we've got a project underway, and we're in fundraising mode. We thought we were there, but seems that the construction costs are kind of a little bit high right now. Like, and Ben's kind of going, yeah, duh, I'm buying the lumber and then selling it. Yeah, so we got a bit of a surprise on our cost estimate. So we are still in fundraising mode. So anybody that can help, we'd sure appreciate it. This sheet here actually has information on how you can contribute and help us out. But this is the design. Actually, Ghost and Associates did the engineering on this. They've done a great job and really supportive. We're about to put it out for bid again. We got first bids out back, and they were a little bit hard to swallow, and so we're trying to make that a little easier for them to work on. But any help you can give us to help make that happen, we sure appreciate it. SCCfriends.com. That's the thing to remember, and that's actually on the sheets that I've got on the tables there. So what's the connection between Block 34 and the Stillwater Community Center Foundation? Well, geographically, it's obvious. The community center and Block 34 are adjacent to each other. If people don't know where Block 34 is, it's called Block 34 because it's block number 34 in the city plaque. Okay, that's where that creative name came from. Okay, and so the community centers to the west, and Bank First, and some other businesses to the east. You'll notice that Main Street is about a block away, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in a minute. Block 34 has been envisioned to be something to contribute to Stillwater and downtown Denver for decades. There's been multiple studies and plans done on Block 34 over the years. But something significant has happened in the last 4 months. And that is that Kicker stepped up and said, hey, we want to make it happen. And so Steve Irby pledged $2.7 million to construction projects on the block, and also is going to donate the engineering, which is anywhere between $300,000 and $500,000, engineering and design, $300,000 and $500,000. And that's just on Block 34. The other thing he donated was $800,000 for 10 years of music program and to supplement the city's operating budget for the block. And the Stillwater Community Center Foundation is going to be the one delivering the music program. We are also the body that is carrying the Block 34 Architecture and Development Committee, of which Becky Taylor right here is on, and we're helping guide the design and also what the long-term operation is going to look like. We're also looking at art. It's going to be, it's a permanent committee to oversee what's going to be happening and going on at Block 34. One of the things I wanted to point out is that it's interesting that we're exactly a block away from Main Street, just like Guthrie Green. And Guthrie, if any of you know where Guthrie Green is, downtown Tulsa? Okay. It fired up downtown Tulsa, okay? And Main Street is a hopping business center because of the Guthrie Green downtown. Now, granted, it helps that they've got $1 million a year operating budget, but hey, look, we've got volunteer help. We can make great things happen here too. So, but it fired up downtown. And there's another park you may have heard of, another green space called Central Park in New York City. And, you know, the development community probably thinks that probably be better suited full of skyscrapers, okay? And the city of Stillwater, the city of New York has for decades, now centuries actually, said, no, that's probably a dumb idea because the Central Park actually defines what New York City is all about. And a little quote here, because one of the things everybody asks is it really adding any value over and over again? Really, it should be skyscrapers. Let's get the bulldozers out and make something useful out of it. Well, it turns out that park is critical to the success of downtown New York. And I think Guthrie Green is going to help make this. Block 34 is going to help make the same thing happen in Stillwater. They estimated that that Central Park has added $26 billion in value to downtown New York, incremental value to downtown New York. And if any of you have sold real estate in downtown Stillwater lately, you'll see that that's already happened. The value of property is already up. I know I'm one. I just sold a property downtown for a lot more money I paid for it. And I just bought it 2 years ago. So there's a move afoot downtown, and I think Block 34 is going to help make that happen. So here's the stage that's been designed. Now, this is still work in progress, so we're not done yet, but this is a conceptual rendering. It's basically a national level stage. It's going to be outfitted to handle basically very big acts, the little acts. It's going to be on the southwest corner, and you'll see a map of this in a minute. There's going to be a video at the end of this. How am I doing on time? Anybody got 5 minutes of talking time? Oh, that's perfect. Okay. It's going to, right now the model has, we have a fountain to keep kids cool and adults cool in the summer. Talk a little bit. I talked about the kicker donation a minute ago. That's going to deliver 14 evening programs a year, and it's also going to provide weekend, Saturday morning programs all year round for 10 years. Okay. So this isn't build it and they will come. We're build it and stuff's going to happen. Okay. It's not just going to sit there. And the city agreed, by the way. The show always is going to happen. If you're coming down for music, it's going to happen. It's going to be inside if we can't handle it outside. The city has offered the theater as the backup venue for 10 years for all these programs. So we've got a place to go. So if you're coming down to see somebody play, they're going to play. Rain or shine, okay? So here's the layout of the park, of the block, the pavilion in the northeast corner, stage in the southwest corner. To give you a sense of scale, the green space here is about half again as big as Guthrie Green. Okay, this is a bigger facility than Guthrie Green is, downtown Tulsa. Still work in progress, but got community center to the west, Bank First and other businesses to the east. OSU Art Museum and First Baptist to the north, so that's 8th and to the south, 9th Avenue. So Stillwater News Press is to the south of us, as is used to be Cosley Productions. I think Craybill bought that. If I got that right. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you a video. So we'll go ahead and watch it. Hit the alternate button. Do I need to? Oh, got it. Sweet. Okay. So we're basically flying over the block. We've removed the trellises. We kind of did some discussions with the farmers market, and they said they actually wouldn't utilize those, so we pulled it. Okay. So the trellises are out, but we're going to replace that with kind of a beer garden type setting on the east side there. Now we're coming down through the pavilion, looking out onto the green towards the stage. Community center in the background to the west. Now we're facing down towards 9th. You're going to see some phenomenal athletes here in just about a second. They're already signed up for the basketball team. So now we're coming down off the pavilion, kind of headed down towards the intersection of 8th and Husband, or 9th and Husband, excuse me. There we go. Did you see that? That's 8 feet, people. $10 feet on that one. Yeah. This guy they can dunk it with their feet. So now we're looking west towards community center. There's the stage again. One of the things that we've got in the plans is to add a play area for children, actually kind of right next to that water feature. So there's a place for young people to go. It's going to be naturally focused, but it's going to allow parents to basically watch the music performance, and the kids can be, over doing what kids do. And when the parents get bored, they can go over there too. So the fountains won't quite be quite that high. Otherwise, the kids are going to be up on top there about 15, 20 feet. So it looks cool. There's one of these in Houston, Texas at Discovery Green, and it is swarmed with people, basically from May through September. It's a just walk in and get cool, naturally cooled off. Really popular. Can't figure out how those kids aren't wet, but I'm sure there's some logic to that. That's it. Yeah, so part of that contribution for Kicker is to actually pay for mowing and things like that. So it's going to be split between programs and block maintenance. Right now, we're looking at having this thing open sometime in 23. Okay. The guidance we've gotten from our architects is that these buildings are really super simple. There's no enclosure, there's no HVAC. I mean, I don't want to overstate that because they're not that easy, but landscaping goes really fast and most of the block is landscaping. So they're estimating a 9 months to a year construction time for this. It's Stan Espinoza out of Tulsa and Dan Allebach and Associates. They do a lot of work for OSU on campus. If you've seen the garden just east of the student union with the horses, I think it's got horses in it. And they did that. They also did Monroe Street, the big corridor through the middle of campus, north south Monroe Street. They do really good work. So it's a team effort. Basically, every meeting we have with design is the landscape architect and the architect. What's that? Yeah. There's sprinklers now. Block 34's got irrigation now. So, yeah, you bet. Yep. Where you want? Okay. They already started the question. Any questions? So that's a great question. We've got kind of numerous balls in the air right now. One is funding. We don't have enough funding to completely deliver everything that's on this in the design right now. We kind of knew that going in. We said dream big and let us know. So we're actually talking with some organizations right now to help fill the gap on funding. But design's happening right now. It's ongoing. And we think that design will be done July-ish, mid-2022. So you kind of do the math. The city's going to manage the construction of this. It's a city asset. The city owns this block. And so they're going to manage the bidding process and the contracting process. So it's feasible that this thing's contracted in September, October, and then, kind of work from there. Okay. Yeah. It's going to, nope, it's going to OSU. We're moving it out. Yeah, it's going to be go up to the north. Right now, the plan is going to North Campus. Part of the educational. That's one of the reasons it was installed in the first place. But yeah, going to be part of their educational program in North Campus. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I need to repeat the question. Where's the wind turbines go? There's actually 2 of them, and they're both going to North Campus and OSU. Is the plan right now. The city's already agreed to help us make that happen. That's great. I will tell you, we're actually talking about how to take advantage of synergies on that. It's a lot. It's very similar. If you see the 2 drawings, the stage, which is totally unintended, by the way, the architect designed the stage not knowing at all what the community center south entrance is going to be. It looks like it was a master plan, but everything was always going to happen that way. So they may be overlapping, and there may be an opportunity for contractors. Yeah, got a question in the back.
Yeah, I think you said you'd be the Community Center Foundation would be helping with the musical acts. Will you guys be the group selecting the acts to come in and doing all that work as well? Have you started that process, or are the Eagles available? I wasn't sure.
So actually, yes, and they actually are going to be opening act for us. No. We're actually looking for somebody better. So
Followed by the Rolling
got any
Stones.
ideas? The Stones, if they're still around, that's a good idea. Yeah. No, that's yeah. So our responsibility, kind of more serious answer to the question, is who's going to be providing the music programming. The Block 34 Stillwater Community Center Foundation is obligated to deliver that music program. Now, how we do that exactly is not specified in the agreement we executed with the city and the kicker. So we may, at some point hire somebody to do that. Okay. Right now, it's all volunteers, and actually, we love doing it. We love communicate with the groups. It saves a ton of money having us do that, so we do that. Yeah. Yeah. So I can't answer that explicit. The question was, will the block be available for reservation? Can people use it? Okay. And I can tell you, one of the things the committee is going to be dealing with is exactly that. The Block 34 Development and Architecture and Development Committee is actually going to be helping with those decisions. But the vision is that it's going to be something like the parks are managed in Stillwater right now, where you can rent a facility. So maybe rent the pavilion, maybe rent the stage. But I can tell you the overarching principle that we will apply throughout is that the place is available to the public. Okay. That there's not a model where you have a 10-foot chain link fence all the way around the block and you have entrances in the corners where people pay $300 a ticket to get in. That we want to make sure that when people come downtown to play on the playground in Block 34, when they want to come down and play in the water park, that they can do those things, that it's available to folks. And so we're going to be doing that balancing act. The committee is going to be doing that dance here in the next year or so. But I envision, yes, that it's going to be available for weddings, reunions, ALS walk. I think that'd be a perfect application of the block. Okay. Any other questions? Well, you guys are easy. Thank you very much.